So a quick video on how the roof tents attach. So this is the one that's on my personal Jeep, my Gladiator. I chose the rear opening one for mine because I like the ability to be able to stand on the tailgate, to be able to get up to unload, to unhook the fold-out part, to come down. And I also didn't want anything to come out the sides on mine. I have a awning on the side of mine, so I wanted to be able to do that. I can add a ladder that comes out the side, so both sides do allow for the ladder to be mounted on the sides if I ever really wanted to do that, or if I wanted to climb in and out of the sides from the bedside. That's how I had those designed. The other thing, another feature that they all have is they have these pouches that fold out, which is nice. Just, store some stuff outside of the tent, muddy shoes, something like that. They don't need to be in the tent, but you still want to have access to them without having to climb down the ladder. And those pouches are on both sides. The other tents have those pouches as well. So as far as mounting is concerned, so they all have an aluminum base with channels. Now mine, I have this roof rack, I have a bed rack system in my Gladiator, and I mounted directly to that. And you'll see some of these red spacers here. I spaced out my tent to the rack because I have the awning brackets that go across. So I use spacers, but most people would just mount this directly to their rack itself. Now my rack has holes in it to be able to screw. It comes with screws that fit in these channels. I mounted directly to the rack. I didn't use the brackets. Now the brackets are these brackets here. So on most mounts, you would use this. It would bolt up between the channels, and then this would bolt onto the racks. You can either bolt it on to the side or onto in the middle closer, using a couple different places. These channels are run all the way down the length of the tent, the base. Now the one that does not fold out will have a longer piece to be able to mount. So the whole thing has channels all the way across. The ones that fold are obviously only the footprint that fold. This would be for it if you're mounting it to another roof rack. While yes, it does fit on an OEM rack for a the regular plastic kind of racks on an OEM car roof rack, my suggestion is that you don't use an OEM rack, that you're going to use something a little more sturdy. The tents all range around 135 to 150 pounds unloaded, so without you or your significant other inside of the tent. So I would make a suggestion that you mount it to an aftermarket rack. It does have provisions to mount to an OEM, but my suggestion is that you don't do that. The other thing is that I mounted my awning directly to my rack because I had that already done, but you don't have to. So the awning mounts have the ability to mount right into these. So that is a different company's awning that I am going to try to become a distributor of, but that awning itself uses the same style aluminum mounts, and their bracket would fit into these, where you can mount the awning directly to the side of the tent versus having to mount it to the rack itself. But I hope that explains how you would mount this. Again, you would get 4 of these brackets that would mount across. If you can use the brackets themselves, have foam in here to anti-rattle foam, or you can do it the way I did, depending on if you have an aftermarket rack. that mine had holes in them where I just mounted directly to that. And again, these plastic spacers are because I have these brackets already mounted on top, and I opted not to mount the bracket to the tent itself. I have the bracket mounted to the rack because there'll be times where I don't use the tent on the Jeep, but I will still want the awning there. So there's no reason for me to have to take off the awning every time I want to change that.